And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Robby and Rexrode presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com for more information. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you? What's going
on? Fine. Not much is going on, really.
That's good.
I don't have a good answer. I'm good.
Good. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Pretty much the same. Last night, pretty chill last night. Couple of games. I missed the early, North Carolina, Louisville. Turned a few minutes on of Houston and Kansas. But, yeah, I was pretty much sports free last night.
No Pistons Spurs for you?
No. That's pretty. I guess Wemby is just taking the league by storm, huh?
Yeah, he was pretty bad in the first half, and then he blocks everything. It's really amazing. Like he is kind of like an incredibly skilled giraffe at times. It's just like how the heck could you possibly get to that ball? Yeah, they're tough, man. The Spurs are tough.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It always amazes. Like there are times I'm watching them and somebody will get a shot over Wemby, and I'm like, "Oh, how'd they do that? They just throw it off the ceiling? That's impressive.
That's
good stuff there."
Yeah, like you have to throw it like insanely, like straight up if you're trying to do a floater. Cade Cunningham had, he did that and still he got to it, and it was like, oh my goodness, pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, and he's still very young. He's going to be very good as his career goes on. We got a lot going on the show today. The great Pete Weber will be with us at 7:15. We'll get his thoughts on the United States win of the gold medal against Team Canada, get his thoughts on the Predators as they open their season back up coming up on Thursday. So looking forward to that a little bit later in the show. Ben Arthur from Fox Sports NFL will be with us to close out the show coming up at 8:45. So looking forward to that. We got the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode later in the program as well. Joe, it is NFL Combine Week, and the NFL offseason fully underway. We saw Kyle Pitts get the franchise tag placed on him, or is going to get the franchise tag placed on him, according to multiple people yesterday. I think the tag number for the tight ends this offseason for the franchise tag is right in the neighborhood of $16.3 million. Kyle Pitts, 25 years old. He was second in the league last year among tight ends with 88 catches. And receiving yards at 928. Only Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals had more. So what do you make of Kyle Pitts being tagged by the Atlanta Falcons, taking another option off the board for everybody else in free agency?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think you can see he's talented. He's not what he's supposed to be, but he's talented. He's certainly a guy who can be a problem for people. I mean, he's produced enough that now obviously you're talking about new regime and everything, and they don't, obviously there's a little bit of probably wanting to find out exactly what you have in him, with new people in the organization. So I think that I'm not shocked by that. A little bit more, because we haven't talked about Pickens. Have we talked about Pickens being tagged, or that was expected? But that's official now, right?
Yeah, he is going to be tagged. So we know of at least 2 franchise tags that are now happening in the NFL.
$28 million for Pickens is basically what that's going to be. And the Cowboys are huge taggers. They tagged DeMarcus Lawrence twice, Dak twice, Schultz. They tagged Pollard before, so they loved using that. So I guess you knew they were going to use it on somebody, but that's an interesting move too. Is it going to be okay, show us you can, show us what in a year that you can keep growing up or whatever, or is it just just to lock it in and then they're going to make a long-term deal happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the Cowboys have already made another move on the running back front with Javonte Williams over the weekend. So, he was among the group, not near the top of the group, but among the group that we talked about of running backs that could potentially be out there and available. He signed, I believe, a $16 million guarantee deal over 3 years with Javonte Williams, total deal worth $24 million. So not a very expensive contract there on that front, but it is interesting, Joe, from the standpoint of like we talked with Charles a couple weeks ago about some of these running backs that could be out there, whether it's Brees Hall, what ends up happening with Kenneth Walker in Seattle. And one of the teams that people have mentioned on the running back front this offseason is Dallas. Like, could they want to upgrade? Could they want to go get one of these big name guys? Now, I mean, I guess it's still possible they could do that, but when you've signed Javonte Williams to, a 3-year, $24 million deal, there's at least a suggestion there that maybe that's one team you won't have to worry about in the free agent market when it comes to the running back position.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think that they'd be probably. I mean, I guess you never know with the Cowboys.
They could load up at running back. Who knows?
Yeah, Jerry. It's like we're going back to. We're going to bring the wishbone into the NFL. I mean, who knows with Jerry? But yeah, you would think they'd probably be out of the mix. Did you see the replay officials throwing flags idea?
I did. Yes. What do you think of that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. So essentially, that when they're reviewing something, they can, if they see a penalty that's not part of the review, they can decide to throw the. I mean, the only thing, I guess, like if there's some kind of, I mean, it's almost like, well, although I'm sick of it now in college basketball, they just find a way to have a million reviews one way or another. They do the challenge thing, but now they have the appeal thing. It's just ridiculous. But I guess like if you see something that's like dirty or something,
yeah, then
okay, I guess, like like the officials missed it, and it's like there's a punch. There's an example given in the I think there's an AP story of or there's an ESPN story of like Diggs and Josh Jobe on the sideline, and then Jobe punched Diggs' helmet and nobody saw it. So, like it would have been like you could have possibly ejected him. Okay, I guess if like there's something really egregious, I'm okay with it. But like you're looking for whatever. I mean, you're looking to see if a quarterback one of the fumble or incomplete plays or something, and it's like, oh look, there's a hold on the right guard. I mean, that would be absurd.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in that. Like, I don't mind. There are plenty of examples of kind of what you just talked about of the punch thing. Like, there are plenty of examples in the NFL where somebody throws a punch and somebody else retaliates to it, and the only person that gets a flag thrown on them is the person who retaliates. Like, I guess I have no problem with somebody taking a look at that and, you throwing a flag on both guys there in that situation. But I have no interest whatsoever in, like, you going to look at a spot, to see whether or not somebody got a first down. And then you're looking at it, you're like, oh, yeah, there's like 6 holding penalties on this play. And then there's also the guy was offside and they missed it there. Like, I don't want more replay in the NFL. I think we're at the perfect spot of replay right now. I don't need the 17 replays a game throwing penalties from the sideline because, Joe, as you know, like, they miss a lot of penalties out there. I don't need every play being looked at for penalties.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's a holding on every, you call holding in, but there's some truth to that. If you really dug in and had a perfect angle on every blocking situation or downfield too, people getting handsy, is that holding or not? Yeah. No, it better be really limited to something that's like, oh, geez, we missed this dude punching a guy. Okay. Here it is clearly in the film. Fine.
Yeah. My first kind of response, like reaction to this, if this comes into play, Joe, like, you remember the pass interference stuff when they used to be able to review pass interference, and then ultimately every time they went to go review it, they never did anything about it. Like, right. It had to be super egregious. I kind of feel like that's the way that this would go. At least I hope so.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's. I mean, obviously, when they did that, I was like, I like to have an outlet because it was obviously a reaction to the Rams-Saints game. And
yes,
just, I mean, the wrong team went to the Super Bowl because of an unbelievable missed call. I mean, that's what happened. But yeah, then they basically made sure it died. I still, it's like, I don't hate the idea of like something, again, think about the NBA, like, one challenge a game or something like that and I know now we're talking about more stuff, but just just in case you have something that could like alter the course of history with an unbelievably bad call, but it died. So, I mean, we haven't had a situation like that since, like that egregious. So I suppose you could also say, well, that's a generationally bad call.
It certainly was. Boy, was that something.
Man.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. It is NFL Combine Week. What does this mean for the Titans? What actually matters when it comes to the Titans this week at the NFL Combine? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. It is one of Joe Rexrode's favorite weeks of the year. The NFL Combine is almost upon us. Joe, there's going to be a lot of stuff this week. There's going to be a lot of hand size talk, arm size talk. How fast does such and such run? What sort of throws can such and such make here against air at the NFL Combine? We've seen it all before when it comes to the NFL Combine. Obviously, the Titans a very prominent draft selection coming up at number 4 overall. So if you're Mike Borgonzi, if you're Robert Saleh and this new staff, and you're sorting through all this stuff, and you're looking at some of the names we've talked about that are going to be available high in the draft, and you're looking down to see how many, your 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round picks, maybe you could find some diamonds in the rough like you did a year ago. What actually matters the most this week to the Titans, in your opinion, Joe Rexrode, when it comes to what you're actually evaluating?
Well, for them, obviously the interviews are huge. With I imagine they're going to do interviews with the edge guys or the receivers. It'll be interesting, to see how much what else they get into. But those will obviously be important. They always are for teams. And then there's also some of the other stuff outside of the interviews, like obviously Reuben Bain, arm length and all that stuff, but other things that he does, because obviously, I mean, look, you watch a guy play and he's a monster on the field. I guess, like, do some of his other measurables, are they exceptional? Does that sort of, again, to me, it's like the arm length thing is it's a difference between college football and pro football. You get to the highest level and you just, maybe you go from like more like 6'4", 6'5" tackles or 6'6", 6'7" tackles and things like that. It's kind of crazy to me. Like, there are guys who are just a little bit longer arms than him, who've had great NFL careers. So, but the reality is, the history says that he, that arm length has never, had a double-digit sack year. I mean, is he the guy that blows that up? It'd be great to see, but that's going to be a huge thing. How the receivers run, who runs, and how they run. What you often see now is the first-round guys don't do any of them run. To me, when someone's willing to do it, I love that. I think some teams do too. It's like, oh, someone who actually wants to compete, because that's what this is all about, right? It's competing, and not being afraid that you're gonna have a bad time and hurt yourself. Get out there and show us, you're one of the best athletes in the world. Let's see it. So who does that? I'm also interested. I've heard that Ty Simpson is going to throw. To me, that is a potentially big thing for the Titans, because if he could, I think he's the guy. I don't think there's anybody else realistically, at least at this point. We'll see. But if Ty Simpson can wow people, certainly the medical aspect is big, the back, but wow people, throw great, do all that stuff, he's going to be awesome in the interviews. If he can, if somebody falls in love with him, now maybe you have an option, if you're the Titans, of actually moving back.
I feel like the back thing with Ty Simpson, like, nobody knows about it. Like, I think it's you who have uncovered something here that the rest of the NFL public needs to catch on, because nobody else seems to understand that that's what was happening with him in the second half of the year.
I did break that story, actually.
You did.
Well, no one wants to give me credit. Where's my credit for this? Like what? Thamel never retweeted and gave me.
Did you know Joe writes for The Athletic?
Thank you. But yeah,
disrespect is what it is.
Exactly, right? Seriously. But in all seriousness, there was, people knew he had a back. It was reported. But I will say, when his dad told me he was getting epidurals before every game, I was like, geez, man. Because first of all, I got a kid who's getting epidurals right now, and he's going to have surgery. And so, a microdiscectomy. And so, that's
sciatica.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on, and which is ironic. But so when I heard that, I'm like, oh geez, this is not good. They say it doesn't, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not good. It doesn't necessarily mean it's that serious, it's that severe. They're going to get down to the bottom of it, obviously, these NFL teams. If what they're saying is true, that it's not a big deal, then that helps them a lot. But you just hear epidurals and you're like, man, that's serious. And look at the way he played. Like, look at the way he was playing this year or last season before he got hurt. Yeah, pretty big difference. I mean, I thought he looked better, in the first playoff game, right after some rest. But certainly, you can see how it affected him.
I'll tell you one thing on the Titans standpoint, where the evaluation part of this, like you need to be able to come through and find somebody, probably multiple somebodies, but at least one third round, fourth round. Like it'd be great, Joe, if they could find a couple of corners in the draft this year that maybe aren't all that highly regarded heading into the draft that turn out to be good players for you. I don't know, like Jarvis Brownlee. It'd be nice to find some guys like that this year because of how desperate that need is. And look, I fully anticipate and hope that the Titans are considering either an edge rusher or a wide receiver at that number 4 overall spot. Like, I just think the edge rushers that are going to be there, it's going to be pretty hard not to take one of those guys. We'll see, what ends up happening at wide receiver. They obviously need one of those, but they definitely need corners too. So, like, if you were able to find a pretty good corner that could actually play for you in like the 4th round, the evaluation of the corners throughout the combine process and as they get deeper and deeper into the draft process, if you could hit on, like, you're going to have to hit on, regardless of what position it is, with how much this team needs, you're going to have to hit on some picks in like the 3rd and 4th round this year that could come in and actually play for you and play well.
Yeah, no, that's true. No doubt. And obviously you're going to sign somebody and, you're going to, like once the draft actually comes, you'll have a better picture of what you need to do. But yeah, like depending on how things go, you could make the case that they need to draft a couple. Obviously there's going to be undrafted guys and stuff like that, but no doubt about it. That position is going to be critical for them to find some people because they had some young corners and they don't have those young corners anymore. They still have some, but they don't have the guys that we knew could play.
Yeah, I'm just like, you could make the argument when you're talking about positions of need, like you could legitimately make an argument, I think, Joe, for edge rusher, wide receiver, cornerback, like could all be number 1. I think they could. Now, corner, like right now, you literally don't have anybody, but like you said, free agency will come and go before then. I would assume that they're signing at least one corner, like at least. I would hope they're signing 2, maybe not 2 like high dollar ones, but you need to go sign a couple of those guys. But like just in terms purely right now, sitting here looking at the roster, a position of need, if you're drafting an edge rusher, that's one more pick higher in the draft, Joe, that you can't use on a corner. If you're drafting a corner, that's one more pick higher in the draft that you can't use on edge rusher or wide receiver. Like they got a huge need on all 3 of those positions right there that they got to find some way with limited picks to fill.
Yes, and if the offensive tackle thing I suggested is not going to happen, it's probably not. Is that do they need to go there in the draft at some point? Do they, and you could make a case. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like you can certainly make the case that they need more depth across the line. What's up with like Cushenberry? Like where are they there? Like, are they going to need to, go interior lineman too?
Yeah.
I mean that's center and right guard. Right now basically left tackle, left guard, right tackle are locked in. Center and right guard, still some questions there and possibly, and they have, they got young guys here in the building too who could rise up, but. I mean, at some point, you would think there'd be some kind of an offensive line pick.
Dave in Big Rock says, the problem is that without a top-tier wide receiver, then the Cam Ward situation stays muddy through the middle of the season, and that's what's most important. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. Like, I don't know that you necessarily have to find your number 1 guy this offseason, but there's no doubt, like, the receiving room has to get better. Like, if the receiving room is what it was last year. And look, full credit to like DK and Io Manor. They were fine as rookie players. But, particularly when Ridley went down, I mean, you looked at the wide receiver room, Joe, and you're like, good Lord, who's going to make plays for the quarterback out here? They just didn't really have many of those guys. And DK made a few toward the end of the year, and Van Jefferson had a couple of nice games for what he was. But there's no doubt you got to upgrade wide receiver to get a better look at what Cam Ward is. I don't know that you necessarily have to find your number one guy this offseason. It would be great if you did, but there's no doubt you got to upgrade it to help out your quarterback and get a better picture of what he is moving forward.
Yeah. And so, people making the case that, keeping Ridley makes more sense. And I'm not opposed to that. Like, if you're out there looking for someone talent wise, who's probably right in that range or even less in some cases with some of these guys, it's like, well, there is at least some chemistry built there. Like, what would be the issue with keeping them around? You'd rather be better, of course, but maybe that is part of the answer. And some of it is just, it's just like, if the Titans are sitting there and it's like, look, we know, like, whatever, they love two of the three or all three of the edge guys, well, then they know that they're going to have their choice of two of them, certainly one of them, but almost certainly two of them, right?
Yeah.
And if you know that, and that you're probably not going to have anybody trying to move up into that spot, then that's kind of how you have to approach free agency at receiver. But also maybe that does make it more likely that Ridley's here.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More your thoughts on the NFL draft coming up next. Plus, a former Titan is back in the game, baby. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
It's definitely at wide receiver. I have 18 receivers in my top 100, 11 in the top 50. We could see 6 go in the first round. And that is really headlined by 3 players. Mekhi Lemon from USC is a fantastic yards after catch player, very tough over the middle of the field. He's going to give you shades of, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a former USC Trojan. He is fantastic. My top receiver in the class. We'll see where he runs, what that time actually looks like for him. And then Carnell Tate, I know, another first-round wide receiver from Ohio State. This is what they do so well in Columbus. Tate is fantastic as a route runner at 6'3", 195 pounds. He wins over the top. He's precise. He's just a professional wide receiver who played college football last year and probably would have been even more highlighted had he not been with Jeremiah Smith, the player we'll be talking about a lot over the next 13 or 14 months as a top prospect coming out of Ohio State for next year.
That's Matt Miller from ESPN taking a look at the wide receivers in the draft, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, I guess the thing that stands out to me in that clip, beyond his love for Mekhi Lemon as well, which we know you love Mekhi Lemon, looks like the receiving part of this could be, decently deep. Maybe not Carnell Tate or somebody of that quality hanging around in the second round. But it sounds like, I think he said 11 of the top 50. It sounds like you could find some pretty good receivers in this draft here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a kind of consistent thing. And obviously, better some years at the very top than other years, but just this is part of football now for sure, is guys who at a certain age, it's like, well, you're better off at running backs, would-be running backs. And obviously some people, physically, you're 5'8", 195, and you're built like a tank, like Kenneth Walker. You're not going to be anything but a running back. But there are players who could, Mekhi Lemon is a guy who, bulk up a little bit, could probably be a heck of a running back. More and more top athletes are going receiver or even corner over running back because of the market for running backs and the reality of, the only position in the NFL that is not enjoying massive inflation. So like the receivers, and also then with the offenses in college and the NFL really matching up more in a lot of cases, you have like a lot more instant impact. So you're going to have, most years, it's going to be a good receiver class. And so, if you're the Titans this year, we're going to talk about those top guys, but there's very good players after that if you go somewhere else in the first round.
So, Joe, we have a former Titan that is back in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins have hired former Titans general manager John Robinson as their new senior personnel executive. So he joins new general manager John Eric Sullivan down there in Miami. J-Rob is back in the game. What do you make of that? It's taken, obviously a while for him to get back in the game. He's been enjoying a nice paycheck from Amy Adams Strunk to not work for the Tennessee Titans. What do you make of J-Rob joining the Dolphins as their senior personnel executive?
Yeah, good for him. It'll be obviously the big interesting thing here will be, does this give him another chance at some point to be a GM? There aren't a lot of second chance GMs. Could J-Rob be one of them? It's interesting. I when I found out he was joining them, I was like, hey, John Eric Sullivan, is there like some, Patriots scout background or anything with him? But no, he's all Packers.
Yeah.
Like from football operations assistant going back to the early 2000s before he even got to be a scout. So he's pure Packers. But I think it's I think it's a good move. Obviously you're bringing someone in who hasn't technically been in the game, but I know that, I think John has been active still and has stayed on top of things and has been ready for this opportunity. And I think he deserves it. Titans fans, I feel like the John Robinson thing is just like a forever debate. And I just think both things are true. Like he built excellent teams and had terrific early years. And then he had this at the end, the drafting in particular was just bad. And obviously the A.J. Brown trade. But again, the A.J. Brown trade, I mean, ultimately, like, he did it. It's on his record. You know, there's a lot to that. But it was a mistake. It was a critical mistake. And it was pretty obvious that Mike Vrabel did not want it to happen. And it happened. But I think you can still look at the whole tenure with the Titans. And, you know, I mean, ultimately, probably the record is what you go with, right? What was his win-loss record? It was, he was a winning GM who certainly had some big mistakes late that ended up costing him his job.
Yeah, I mean, look, we knew at some point he was going to get back in the game. I have no idea whether or not he's going to be a general manager in the league again. Like, you know, he was 66-48 as Titans general manager, which, you know, it's a good record, right? I think what you said is exactly right. There are two things that are true. He built a good team. He made some good decisions in terms of, like, you know, the Ryan Tannehill move, pretty good move from John Robinson. There's some different moves that you can point out. You know, Derrick Henry's on his record, Kevin Byers on his record. Like, he built the Titans into a contender in the AFC. And he also made some horrific draft picks toward the end of it, right? Like, I mean, Caleb Farley, you know, Isaiah Wilson, and Traylon Burks. You know, there's some bad draft picks at the end of it. And the A.J. Brown situation kind of highlighted it all. So, again, like, I think the two things being true thing is the perfect way to say it. Like, he was a good general manager for the majority of his time here. And at the end of it, he made some horrific decisions. And, you know, have the Titans been suffering from some of those decisions? Yes. Do I think that that's overplayed at times? Yeah. I mean, part of the Titans' downfall since then has also been they've just not been able to do anything right since then. And that's Carthon, that's Brian Callahan, that's Amy Abstrunk, that's all of it. So I'm not surprised he's back in the league. You know, I mean, I guess this is going to depend on, you know, what sort of job does John Eric Sullivan and John Robinson and all these people involved with the Dolphins now? Like, can they actually get them to a point where they're a contender? Because, again, we've talked about the Dolphins a lot this offseason. There's a lot of work there left to do, namely finding who's going to be your quarterback moving forward. And they're in salary cap purgatory at the moment. And they're moving on from Tyreek Hill and all this other stuff. So my guess is, Joe, if he is going to become a general manager again, it's probably going to take a little bit here because I don't think this Dolphins job is some quick fix. So we'll see what happens on that front. But good to see him back in the game.
Yeah, it's not a great situation, but that also means it's opportunity. It's sometimes it's not terrible to come into a place when it's a huge mess, which is what it was here when John Robinson, you know, got the job, and boom, they immediately made some moves that turned the team competitive. And that's the thing. And that's, I think, probably my biggest argument for people, you know, the J-Rob haters who look at the Titans now and want to still blame them. I mean, you can find so many examples in the NFL of, like, one good off season turning a joke of a team and even a joke of a franchise. Think of the Washington Commanders into, like, a winning team. That happens all the time. So that happened here with him. The Titans struggle since then. Sure, like, those empty drafts obviously hurt you, but, like, no, they were not destined to continue to stink to this extent.
No.
In this league, it's not designed for that to be the case. You have to be pretty incompetent in a variety of spots for that to keep happening, and none of that has anything to do with him. So a lot of missteps since he left. And yeah, if he's going to be a GM again, there is opportunity for them to turn things around. It's a bad situation, but it's probably going to have to be like and it's going to be so quarterback driven. But it's probably going to have to be like, they're going to have to become like a legit, if not contender, at least like playoff team. And if that's the case, then people start looking at other people around John Eric Sullivan and saying, wow, they must have some pretty smart people in there.
Going to go head-to-head with Vrabel in the AFC East.
Yes.
AFC East is where former Titans land now.
That's right. That is interesting.
Yeah, it will be. 615-737-1025. One texter says J-Rob's first job at the Dolphins will be getting rid of Tyreek Hill because of his receiver one Axeman experience. Well, they've already got rid of him, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, they've already done that. By the way, Nick Sirianni opening the door on AJ being somewhere else here at the Combine, so keep an eye on that one.
That was interesting. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More of your thoughts on the NFL draft, the NFL Combine. Plus, is Nashville about to get the World Cup games after all? Is this going to happen? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Today, Vanderbilt baseball hosts Evansville at Hawkins Field at 4:30. Catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. We'll have Pete Weber coming up at 7:15. We'll get his thoughts on Team USA winning the gold medal, get his thoughts on the Predators as they're coming out of the break later this week, taking on Chicago on Thursday. Ben Arthur from Fox Sports NFL will be with us later in the program as well. Taking your thoughts in the meantime at 615-737-1025. Joe, obviously, over the last couple of days, there has been unrest in Mexico with the cartel leader being killed there and the violence that has ensued since then. And the World Cup is right around the corner. They have games scheduled in Mexico and specifically in Guadalajara and Jalisco. There has some playoff matches coming up, World Cup qualifying playoff events that are coming up in March. And there's also some World Cup games itself scheduled to be held there in June. And with all the stuff going on in Mexico over the last couple of days, some worry about what that's going to mean for the World Cup. And could World Cup games eventually be moved from Mexico if the situation has not stabilized itself by then? Now, I'm reading from The Athletic here, and they came out with this, I believe, late last night, or excuse me, early this morning is when it's been updated. It says, by Monday evening, Mexican authorities had begun to restore order. Late Monday night, FIFA rallied behind its Mexican partners. A spokesperson claimed it would be inaccurate and misleading to suggest there are significant concerns and insisted they had, quote, full confidence in 3 World Cup host countries, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. Joe, that was a big talking point yesterday of, if the situation in Mexico continued to devolve, could FIFA end up moving some of these World Cup games? And as we know, Nashville at one point was under consideration for hosting some World Cup games in 2026 when the World Cup came to North America. So I don't think, Joe, that this situation yet has fully been resolved. Obviously, this is an ongoing thing that FIFA is going to have to keep an eye on here, but going to be interesting to see what happens here with the World Cup, with what's going on in Mexico right now. I know a very scary situation down there. I know that there have been some tourists that have kind of been caught up in the crossfire and everything going on down there. Just a wild situation.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, Puerto Vallarta. I mean, people are holed up in hotels, and it's just like a huge cartel war going on. I mean, so this is like sort of the obvious, and it's early speculation. And look, even if the situation develops and it gets to the point, because there's already people in I know, like the German coach is like, I don't want to go play there, and there's things like that going on. But even if it did happen and it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, you got to move it, or like there's more United States, does that necessarily mean that some of the finalist cities that didn't get bids would be tapped? I mean, it's all these cities that are having the World Cup, of course, have had all this time to ramp up for it. And, right. So I don't even know if, like, I don't even know if that would be the answer, or if they would just try to, like, do more in the cities that are already hosting. That I don't know. I haven't really seen, like, the breakdown, but your mind obviously goes to that, right? I'm sure Nashville and other cities that just came up short. We do have a stadium that could work. So
we do
have that. So
there is a stadium here that would work. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how they would handle that. I mean, obviously, at this point, if you're FIFA, you have to, like, at least start to put a contingency together, right? Like, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to move it, but I think what we have seen over the last couple of days is the conversation around this is there's the beginning stages of having sort of that contingency plan, I think, are definitely coming into effect. Like, if you're going to do it, Joe, like, you got to be willing to move pretty quickly, because you're talking about just a few months before the World Cup is here.
Yeah, you're done June 11th through 26. Like this stadium near Guadalajara is one of the places, and that's the thing. The problem is, and I'm reading a quote from this scholar, Nathan Jones. He studies the cartels. He said, quote, you're looking at potential fragmentation of organized crime and destabilization of organized crime structures throughout a large swath of Mexican territory right before the World Cup. Makes it almost impossible to predict how this is going to play out, end quote.
Yeah.
And if it's unstable, it just seems like, man, it's going to be really interesting. Like, we're here at the end of February, and you just don't know where this is going to go. I mean, you're talking about massive amounts of resources here, the cartels, and like it could get really bad. And at what point, if it's unstable, do you have to make some kind of call? I mean, what FIFA is saying right now is no surprise. You're going to try to calm it down and
Sure.
say all the right things and everything, but man, it's dicey for sure. It's a terrible situation. So in the next few weeks, either it calms down and everybody goes business as usual, or I think you really have to start talking about contingencies. And then again, I don't know, like, if Nash, and I don't remember I don't know if you remember, like, some of the other cities that just came up short. I don't know if it's even feasible to try to, like, throw some games at some of these other cities.
Yeah, and again, like, in a short amount of time, right? Like, it's, I think Cincinnati also got snubbed there, so they are being left out. Seattle apparently not chosen. So, like, there's all sorts of cities, obviously, around the United States that wanted to bring this here that didn't work out. So, like, again, I still think the actual odds of it coming to Nashville would be pretty low. But I don't know, like, if you have to move from where you originally are, like, how much of a strain is it on the sites where you're already going to then add more games and more teams to those sites? I don't know. Like, you might have to go to other places that you didn't originally plan on going to if you're FIFA in the World Cup.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think that it would just be too much. And when it comes down to it, you can get teams here. You can get teams here. You can get your broadcast crews here. Obviously, a big part of the World Cup is the fan. I mean, the fans from all over the world travel heavily for that.
Yeah.
It's a big part of why everybody wants this thing. Yes, it's a great TV product, but also, like, it is. You bring a lot of people, to your city. So, I mean, that would be, I would think that would be somewhat limited compared to what it usually is, but you could do it. You could have games.
Remember the Vuvuzela, the World Cup back in the 2010?
Yes.
Just go get a bunch of Vuvuzelas around here. We'll make this thing work.
4 vuvuzelas per person. I mean, I'm sure that they'll fill the whatever places they're playing in.
Oh, yeah.
They'll fill them. It's just a matter of, is it like actually, like, locals can go for cheap, relatively cheap compared to, like, what World Cup ticket prices sometimes are when teams are following their country around. I mean, this is a big, big deal worldwide.
Dude, Robby and Rexrode, live from the pitch, baby. Let's get after it.
There we go. Break down some soccer.
Yep, we can do it. Yeah, we got Ian. Ian's the expert, man.
We do.
Yeah, I wouldn't go expert, but
thank
maybe we
goodness
can
we
call
have
Frazier.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
Get Frazier in there.
When he's not, when he's not analyzing rugby.
Well, I mean, Frazier's probably got some cousin that's playing in the game. Like, he had apparently Frazier had a third cousin on the Italian hockey team in the Olympics.
Yeah, he's got to have somebody on the Italian soccer team, right?
You would think so. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get back into more reaction from Team USA's win against Team Canada in the gold medal game coming up next. Pete Weber will be with us at 7:15. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We will be joined by Pete Weber coming up at 7:15. We'll get his thoughts on Team USA winning the gold. The Preds are back in action later this week with just a few games remaining before the NHL trading deadline. Ben Arthur from Fox Sports NFL will be with us to close out the show at 8:45 today. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. By the way, I meant to bring this up with you earlier, Joe. NFL.com came out with a list where they have like their top free agents. Malik Willis is number 1 on the list. I saw Orlovsky on Twitter yesterday was like, because he said, I think a couple of months ago that Malik Willis was going to get $50 million. And I don't remember if he said, and I need to get him to get some clarity on this, if he said $50 million total or if it's like $50 million a year that he was talking about, because those are two very different things. But the number 1 free agent that NFL.com came out with yesterday was Malik Willis. What a time.
Oh, my goodness. That is just wild, man. Good. I mean, good for him. I hope what we've seen is just the early stages of a tremendous rise and a great example of you gotta give young players at times, especially young quarterbacks, time, and you just never know what someone could grow into. 50 million, but that's got to be like a total, a 2-year total, right? We've talked about it. I mean, he's probably he could be in that 20, 25, the 25 range, maybe up to 30, something like that, or 2 for 55 or something like that, right?
It's another quarterback hit for J-Rob.
That's true.
That is.
He did draft him.
That is a good point. Things are looking up, J-Rob.
I mean, look, this is Greg Rosenthal who came out with this ranking. So he's got Malik Willis at 1. Like Alec Pierce is 5. Daniel Jones is 8. Rashid Shaheed 12, Breece Hall 13. Like there's some, Trey Hendrickson's on this list. There's some names on this list, and he's got Malik at number 1.
You said this is NFL.com?
Yeah, it's Greg Rosenthal at NFL.com.
He has Hendrickson where?
He's got Hendrickson at number, let's see here, 6.
Okay. Yeah, there's good players.
That may be a little aggressive on the Malik.
It may be a little aggressive. Yeah. Now, I think last week we were talking about another one where, he was at least hovering around the top 10, right? And I'm not like that. Like if you're a quarterback who looks like you're about ready to be someone's starting quarterback, well, you're automatically going to be up there. Wow. Yeah, number 1's a little aggressive.
Number 1's a little aggressive, I think. I mean, look, the more that people talk about this, I am so fascinated to see what he looks like as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think we're going to see it, but I don't know where it's going to be. Wherever he ends up, I will be very, very fascinated to watch them next year. I'll be watching, like if he ends up in Miami, I'll be watching some Dolphins games just to see what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean,
the Jets are the other team I've kind of seen.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I hope for his sake that's not where he goes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that would. I mean, you think about that the reunion with the guy who picked him. And by the way,
true.
I think I would say, well, certainly we know like that was sort of like it was kind of a half measure, kind of like the beginning of the end for Tannehill kind of signal, right? It's like,
yeah,
wait a minute. Like you guys just got as far as you got. And yes, Ryan Tannehill threw the 3 picks, but you're going to use a third on a QB. And I mean, frankly, like I could look at that and say that was a mistake. I mean, like you were still in a winning window then. And look, there were people who thought he was going to be a first round pick too that year. And then you think about, I think it was a mistake. Then you think about what Willis was early. It was like, oh my gosh, like it was not good, man. It really wasn't good. It was the occasional wow throw with a big arm or, wow play running around, but very, very little indication that he was going to be a starter in the league. It's a great, he's another great example of how rough things can be, or like for people giving up on JJ McCarthy right now,
Yeah.
It's like, man, take it easy here. Like how many examples do we have to have before people stop trying to make these huge sweeping judgments? And of course we can go that there's some people in this town who want to make sweeping judgments about Cam Ward, probably good and bad right now. And they're a little bit overboard. And it's like, well, let's see. Because like there's a lot that can still happen in a quarterback's development once they get to the league.
If only Ryan Tannehill had been willing to mentor Malik a little earlier, maybe the Titans could have been on this run. But Tannehill made it clear it's not his job to mentor Malik Willis.
That is.
Remember when we spent about 5 weeks on that? That was fun.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I forgot about that one. Wow. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe things could be totally different.
Look, the way that the Malik situation played out, like you nailed it. He was not a very good player while he was here, and that last offseason he made some progress, but it is going to absolutely suck for Titans fans. Like if he goes on to be a good quarterback in the NFL, like he gets paid this money this offseason, he turns into this huge success story and is a good quarterback in the NFL. And like in a year from now, Cam Ward doesn't work out and you're just still trying to find a quarterback. That's going to be a tough pill for Titans fans to swallow.
Yeah. Like, no, I hadn't really thought about it because it's almost just been like, hey, good luck, Malik. Everybody liked him. Super nice guy. Call him a kid, super nice guy, and hope the best for him. But yeah, what if he goes wherever, Miami, wherever, and he's just flat out better than Cam Ward?
That's what I'm saying.
Like it's just, it's a lot of these things. A lot of these things end up pointing to don't take that quarterback high in the draft unless it is one of quote unquote those guys. And again, even if it is quote unquote one of those guys, sometimes Sam Darnold was supposed to be that, then he wasn't, and now he is. And Trevor Lawrence, et cetera, and Zach. Well, some of them are like he will not ever be one of those guys that we talk about as a reclamation project that made. I am confident in saying that.
Yeah.
Okay. But obviously a lot of these guys are, and some of them kind of come out of nowhere, like Malik in the third round, and can he be a backup? And now he's the number one free agent according to NFL.com. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read the little blurb here that Rosenthal put together. Said, quote, I see him as the most dynamic quarterback in football as a runner, and his tape in Green Bay showed incredible growth as a passer over his 2 years with Matt LaFleur. Despite his limited sample size, Willis jumped to the top spot of this ranking based on the same logic that applies in the NFL draft. If a potential franchise quarterback is good enough to be ranked in the top 5 of a list like this, then he should be placed first by virtue of the position. The ceiling is the roof. That was what Rosenthal said.
Okay. I suppose I get the logic, right? It's just like, well, when it comes down to it, this is what everybody is searching for. And more, I think teams are going to be like, again, there's a lot of talk out there about Mac Jones, right? Like, okay, maybe he's like that guy who's ready now to actually be didn't look bad last year. And also it's almost like you go through the San Fran car wash like Darnold did, and it's like you come out the other side and you're a better quarterback. So, but I get it. I understand the logic on that. It's still wild to think of that. It's still wild to hear that.
I didn't really mean to get off on that tangent, but I had to bring this up with you at some point. So Malik Willis, number one free agent.
Yeah, no, it's
NFL.com.
No, it's wild. And yeah, like Joshua Dixon said, yeah, then how about Levis then? Levis will go somewhere and ball out and be awesome too. And I mean, it's the Titans are on a hell of a run of recent Titans going coaches, players going other, now maybe GMs going to other franchises and succeeding.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Steve and Franklin to the program. Steve, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for taking my call. I know the Titans have a lot of needs, whether they could do it through free agency or the draft or both. Well, what do you think the chances are they would take Jeremiah Love if he's available in the draft? Thanks for listening. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. I mean, Joe, I'm not going to totally discount it because I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. Do you take him at 4 with all the needs you have on your roster? I'd be surprised if that happened. Now, I will say this, Joe. If the Titans somehow find themselves in a position where they're able to trade back and, I don't know, trade back to 7 or trade back to 9 or whatever it would be, and he's still there, then I think you definitely consider it at that point. I would be surprised if they took him at number 4.
I would too. Now I saw ESPN just flashed somebody's mock draft. I didn't catch whose it was. It was Kuiper or whoever, but Kuiper he doesn't have like daily mocks anymore. But they had Caleb Downs going 2.
Okay.
And again, I wouldn't be shocked. So people are already talking about that possibility, right? You talked about it last week. Is he the best football player in the draft? About a safety going that high. I'm not going to be shocked if a lot of people have Love going around that 8-9 spot, like the Saints maybe. Who's the team before the Saints? I think our mock had him going there. I'm not going to be shocked if a team like the Titans or somebody's like, he's an incredible player. Like, this guy changes things. And I won't be mad at the Titans if they do it. As much as they are forfeiting, the addition of someone at a desperate place of need. If Jeremiah Love is that good, if he's that level of player, like, what that does for Cam Ward?
Sure.
It does a ton for Cam Ward. We talk about protection and receivers, but if you have a dynamic player, and it certainly has to be a player who is active in the passing game too. I mean, that's just, it makes his job so much easier. So I don't hate it. I like, a lot of people would hate it if they did it. If they do it, I won't hate it.
We will be joined by Pete Weber coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the United States winning the gold. The Predators coming up back in action later this week as the Olympic break is now over. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in the great Pete Weber to the program, voice of the Nashville Predators. Pete, how are we doing? What's going on?
Doing well, thank you. I mean, this was an incredible in the middle of the season break, and now we have to pay for it. 25 games in 50 days to close out the year.
Yeah, it's going to be very busy to close things out here. So, Pete, I want to start on the Olympic front. Team USA winning the gold for the first time since 1980. Pete, when I think of people I know and I trust about the history of hockey, you are the first name that comes to mind. So I want to get your perspective on this. What do you make of the significance of this win for Team USA hockey, winning the gold medal for the first time since 1980?
And to do so against their arch rivals now, Team Canada, and to do it as they did. Now, today is actually the 46th anniversary of the big victory over Finland to win the gold medal in 1980, which people tend to forget. After beating the Russians, they had one more game to do, and Herb Brooks memorably told the players, and Mike Eruzione told me this shortly after those Olympic Games were over, that if they don't beat Finland, they're going to take it to their effing graves. And that was no question about that, especially when they fell down early in that game. But this has been, when I think about the goaltending and Connor Hellebuck coming out of Michigan was not highly regarded at all. So what did he have to do? He effectively had to walk on with the Odessa, Texas Jackalopes to get noticed, and then get a college scholarship at UMass Lowell, and go on from there to be drafted by the Winnipeg Jets and make his debut just a few years later. I think that one save with the paddle behind him was one that's going to be remembered for a long, long time. And in many ways, he is now the equivalent of this generation's Jim Craig, who was the backbone of the 1980 team.
Yeah, he was absolutely unbelievable, Pete. Well, I want to go back to 1980. You know, like for me, it's a faint memory. I saw this on social media the other day. I had no idea, but so obviously I knew it was tape delayed and everything like that. So it was tape delayed. So a lot of people, most people didn't know, right, what had happened in the game. I suppose like if you had a wire service, you could figure it out that way, right? But
if you had that in your house, yes.
Yeah, exactly. well, but so that is a quick question. Were there afternoon editions? They probably would have. They would have already been printed, right? So you wouldn't have had any afternoon papers or anything that would have. So I saw this clip of Bill Bonds, and I know the great Bill Bonds in Detroit, and it was a commercial break, I think, during the game, and he said, like, we'll talk about the big Olympic win over Russia tonight at 11, and it was like the game, for the viewer was not over. Right? What was for you? What was that day like? What was your experience with that, and what are your like still memories that are still strong from that day?
For me, I was working in Los Angeles with the LA Kings, then I was their color commentator back at that point in time. And that was a day off on our schedule. So I got drafted by Pepperdine University's basketball team to go call a game in Seattle for Pepperdine versus Seattle University. And as I am heading to the rink, or heading to the court, I had the radio on, and it said big upset in Lake Placid. So I had a pretty good hint of what had happened. But here I was doing a college basketball game back to Los Angeles on KCOP, and realizing nobody was going to be watching that because the tape delay on the West Coast even later put it on for that big Do You Believe in Miracles and Al Michaels' true coming out party for all of us that particular night. And then I get back home, do a game the following night at the Forum in Inglewood, and realize we have to get up at 8 o'clock Coast time to watch the game, very similar to what we had here 2 days ago, knowing that I was going to make sure I got up at 6:30 so I would catch the game, this momentous game for Team USA.
Well, Pete, we were talking about this yesterday. I thought Kenny Albert was outstanding, not only in the gold medal game. I just thought he did a really good job throughout the tournament.
He's
and
Kenny,
basically. Like basically just outstanding. And him, like he does all these different sports. You've done all these different sports. Like, can you kind of take us behind the curtain of the skill set involved to be able to do that, to be able to call different sports the way that you do, the way that Kenny Albert does, and the expertise that kind of goes with that?
I think the first thing you need, number one, is the incredible, intense interest in all those games that he does. And he has had that for a long time. I first ran into him when he was with the Baltimore Skipjacks, and his road roommate was some guy named Barry Trotz when they would go on the road of the American Hockey League. And he I'll put it this way. You probably know, guys, that I have collected sports bloopers audio for a long, long time. And Kenny was one of the first and foremost guys when we would send these out via cassette who would take those and would listen. Nobody could probably recite some of Tommy Lasorda's tirades or Earl Weaver's better than Kenny Albert.
So you've given us jackalopes, skipjacks, and now see when you bring up audio bloopers, now I'm transported to you and Crispy, and I don't know that I've cried laughing more about anything. I'm gonna have to listen to that today. What about
send it to you if you need it again?
Yeah, I might. What about like Mike Tirico, and his versatility, Pete? I mean, not just flying all over the place, doing the Super Bowl and everything, but I thought I really liked the intermission conversations with Eddie Olczyk, and just like sort of almost like he was like obviously he's the host of the entire Olympics, but almost like too he was like a third member of that broadcast team for that game too. I thought that was unique and really effective.
I was lucky. I got to work with Mike in studio in the early days of ESPN Radio in Connecticut, and we would spend Saturday and Sunday nights in there just shooting the bull, and coincidentally, people around the country were listening to us. You could tell Mike had it going big time then. And he obviously, that whole soliloquy at the end of the Winter Olympic Games. And I've already had people saying that had to be read off a teleprompter. Well, maybe it was, but I know that Mike had the mentality that he could have done that basically off the top of his head. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And how many people, this just doesn't happen. I mean, even the days of Kurt Gowdy, when he did everything on NBC, didn't have a time like Mike Tirico to be at the Super Bowl, fly overnight to Italy, and then take care of the Olympic Games the rest of the way. He is just a fantastic talent, great intellect for sports, and absolutely love the guy.
So, Pete, you said it. I mean, it's going to be busy for the Predators coming out of the break here. You've got a bunch of games that you've got to fit into a tight window, but not very many before the trade deadline that's coming up here. So Barry Trotz and the front office going to have some work to do here pretty quickly. What do you make about just kind of where they sit right now? Just barely outside of the playoff bubble at this point. Got a lot of games coming up to see if they can turn that around. What do you make of where the Predators sit here as we're about to pick action back up out of the Olympics?
4 points back. They're going to have to jump at least two teams. And the two immediately in front of them are the Los Angeles Kings and the Anaheim Ducks. The Kings just suffered, and this is part of the Olympics thing as well. The Kings just suffered a horrible injury with ex-Predator Kevin Fiala going down for the balance of the year. And then they have Anaheim right in front, a young team that has come on with Joel Quenneville coaching them. Can they catch them? It is possible. It's going to be very, very difficult without any question. And they have to do better than what they have done in the last string of games, where they have had three overtime losses in their last 7 games. Yes, you get a point, which obviously that helps great. But this is something that is not prescribed, particularly when you're talking about making critical decisions about the roster going into the NHL trade deadline, which is now just a few days away on the 6th of March.
Well, it's going to be fun, Pete. I appreciate so much you taking time to be with us on the show this morning. I knew that we had to get you on to talk about all that's gone down over the last couple of days here. So really appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
I'm very happy to do it, and thank you very much. And you are the two guys on this station that never really get the chance to sleep. So I am very reverential as far as you two gentlemen are concerned.
Thank you. I'm passing out right after the show, but I appreciate that, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Pete asks me every game day is, Robby, did you nap today? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no, Pete, as you know.
Yeah, I do. And I got to tell you, there is nothing more important to all three of us right now than coffee.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. The great Pete Weber, our guest here on the program, obviously does an outstanding job with the Nashville Predators, legendary broadcaster. We'll take your thoughts on what Pete had to say, take your thoughts on the Predators as they're coming out of the Olympic break as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Appreciate the great Pete Weber for being with us in the last segment, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe, not very many people to get a better perspective from on the USA's gold medal win and everything kind of involved with that when Pete Weber. I mean, I knew that he would have basically photographic memory of everything that happened in 1980, and he did. And boy, did he get right on the ball by sending us a special audio clip in the immediate aftermath of that segment, too.
I almost just missed this segment because you sent it to me. Now I'm listening to it again. Cale Hulsey. If you can find it out there, folks, find it. It is
Cale Hulse.
Oh, Cale Hulse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Cale Hulse.
Not Cale
Okay.
Hulsey. Cale Hulse. Cale Hulse. Check it out. A nice soccer kick, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was a nice soccer kick, right? He took a nice soccer kick. I know.
He did.
It's the greatest thing ever. Like Katie and I one time, like the first time I had this, I played it and like we were both crying because the whole thing of it is like their inability to speak for like 2 straight minutes while broadcasting a game. It is, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
But, of course, Pete, going back to the day of 1980, he's like, I was going to call a game for Pepperdine. So it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. No, he's got,
he
absolutely has. Yeah. He remembers everything. And of course, he also knows everyone, has crossed paths with everyone in sports history. So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome to know Pete.
Jack from Nashville says, Mike Tirico's soliloquy brought a tear to my eye. I immediately turned on Miracle after it. Yeah, like, again, I thought Kenny Albert did a great job. I thought Tirico, like his closing statement there to close out the Olympics was really, really good. Like, it's not like I've never seen those guys call hockey before. Kenny Albert's been calling hockey forever. Tirico's called hockey. Like, I've seen them do it. I just thought they brought their absolute A game throughout the Olympics and particularly in the gold medal game.
Yeah, I would like to know actually because when I watched it for a second time, the Tirico thing, and that's actually one thing I thought was like, okay, is he reading this or is this actually off the cuff? It looks off the cuff. It doesn't look like he's looking at anything but the camera. So I think it was. I think it was off the cuff. Now, again, maybe something that he had been, thinking about or, maybe wrote down or whatever in case this happened, right? Because obviously, if the United States wins gold in that game, I mean, it makes sense to talk about some of the things he talked about with kids and all that stuff. But it just seemed very natural and off the cuff. And it's like, man, that's pretty strong in that moment. Given the audience and the situation. I mean, but he's pretty freaking good.
Robert in Nashville asking if are we allowed to boo Connor Hellebuck when he comes in as a visiting player? Do I really want to? I just want to give him a hug. I am interested, like when he starts going to American cities, like probably not for that long, but over the next few weeks here, when he's the goalie on the road for Winnipeg at like American cities, do people just like break out in standing ovations for Connor Hellebuck?
I hope so. Like that's a great question because we've been talking about the other side of it, which is like the Winnipeg fans, like what, how do they greet Hellebuck? But yeah, if you're the Jets are on the road in American City, I would hope he'd get a massive standing O at that moment. Like that should be coordinated. Like you said, it's not going to last forever, but the first few, at least, I would think that would happen. I don't know when's he is he coming here anytime soon?
No, they're not coming here again. They go to Winnipeg, but I think Winnipeg's done coming here for the rest of the year, which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate because yes, I would love to see it. I hope it happens. A standing O for him before you root against him.
Yeah, I mean, look, the aftermath of that. People are going to always play the Jack Hughes play, but Pete said it there, and I agree. Like the paddle save that Hellebuck made, we're going to be seeing that highlight 30 years from now. Like you'll be 30 years from now, and if you're looking at their old hockey highlights, the paddle save that Hellebuck had on Devontae's there will be there for sure.
Yes. No question. I mean, yeah, that'll be one of those. That'll be one of those because some things just get replayed forever, right? I mean, we still see clips from I don't know, like going back to, I mean, shoot, Reggie Jackson home runs. I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff that's like, or even if you think about the Olympics, going back to the 70s, gosh, the Russia U.S. basketball loss of like 1972, there's stuff like that. But in terms of like just like a great play that sort of represents what an epic game was, that'll be the one, I think. And the goal, to win it.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Well, and, Pete brought up the standings. Preds are 4 points out of the playoffs as action's about to pick back up here. LA's in front of them. Anaheim's in front of them. Can they catch those teams? And you're going to find out pretty quick, right? Like, February, you have 2 games left. So they play Thursday, they play Saturday, then they play on Monday at 1:00 against the Red Wings, which I'm a huge fan of. Monday at 1:00 coming up here at home. Sign me up. They got 5 games in 7 days right out of the jump here. So, Pete mentioned the schedule. I mean, it's going to be absurd down the stretch here just in terms of how often that they're playing. The trade deadline, Joe, is a week from Friday. It's a week from this Friday. So that's how quickly you got to figure stuff out if you're Barry Trotz here. We had Alex Doherty on yesterday, and he said, I think the number he threw out there was 3. Like, he doesn't think there will be any less than 3 players that get moved by that time. We'll see what happens. He also said he didn't think O'Reilly would be one of them. And I'm very interested to see how that all goes down at the trade deadline. But, what do you do if they just, what if the Preds come out and just start winning like they win 4 in a row? I'm interested to see how they handle this here at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'm all due respect to draft picks, and prospects. To me, it's like if you're not going to make the big move and get serious capital for O'Reilly, I don't know. The moves that Alex mentioned, they're fine. It's fine. If you got, if you get some value, it's fine. But at the same time, if there's any impulse, like you said, let's say they do come out just absolutely on fire and it's like, well, they're right in there. What's the value of like those moves and what you get back as opposed to just letting these guys play it out? I'm not going to have some big issue with them not making moves like that. I mean, the O'Reilly thing to me that's the big question. If you get people who are banging your door down to try to give you a haul for him, that's where that is open for criticism to me if you don't do it. And I understand both sides of it, but these around the edges deals, like, I don't know, why not just let them play?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes. I tell you what, I'm really interested to see, and I don't think the standings will have any bearing on this. Does anybody call about Marchessault? Like, does anybody look at Marchessault and the fit in Nashville and say, you know what? We think he fits in better with our group. We got some centermen that we feel good about that he can play with. Because I do think, we've talked about this, Joe, I think they'd pull the trigger on that regardless of whether they were in a playoff spot or not. I'm interested to see if anybody calls on him.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And Robert Nashville pointing out, you're never going to get higher value from trading Hall than right now. And he was great for Finland. But again, what is the value? It's just, I mean, it's fine. You can get some picks and all that stuff. But there's also, like, again, as we talk about all these things and the cost benefit of everything, there is very much a very real business aspect to making the playoffs for these franchises, So if you think if you're disrupting a possible playoff run, and I don't know if they have that in them or not, but if you're disrupting that for, 3rd round picks, why?
Yeah, it's a fair point to bring up. There's no question about that. Joe, I think we're going to set a record on the program today for Odessa Jackalopes talk.
Yeah.
Pete bring up Odessa, and Dennis on the text line, our buddy, says that after Hellebuck was the goalie, his nephew was the goalie for the Odessa Jackalopes for a few seasons. So a long, outstanding lineage of goaltending for the Odessa Jackalopes, led by Connor Hellebuck, carried on by Dennis on the text line's nephew.
That is awesome. One that there is such a thing as the Odessa Jackalopes. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Austin, Texas. If you've been to the Jackalope, that's the bar there where they have a massive jackalope in the front of the bar. It's one of the weirdest bars you'll ever see. I went in there and they were playing Ernest Goes to Camp on all the TVs. I'm not kidding you.
Sweet.
Yes. But yeah, give us his name, Dennis. This Connor Hellebuck's successor with the Jackalopes. Good for him.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
You're talking about a microdiscectomy.
Ugh. I broke my back.
And sciatica symptoms from lifting weights. Are we going to wipe it every time?
Would you rather have foot pain, gout, or torn up stomach?
What was that last word?
Sciatica.
What do you mean by that? You
My
broke
back is broken.
Sciatica, and I may be totally butchering that symptoms.
a vertebrae or what
Well,
portion?
Spinal.
This has been your medical moment with Dr. Rexrode.
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Oh, that Tyson clip gets me every time. I broke my back. What do you mean by that? My back is broken. Joe, the floor is yours.
Would you rather have a fractured back or have to listen to an entire Creed album from start to finish?
Oh, I'd definitely listen. I'd listen to Creed for free. No other stipulations involved. Give me the whole album.
Have you ever listened to an entire Creed album?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so you're just trolling me, basically. You understand they suck too. You just let me say it.
No, I mean,
you like to troll me.
No, I just, I think I'll let their hits be the hits, and I don't know that I'm all that interested in going deeper than that. But the hits are good.
Yeah, okay. Dennis's nephew's name is Alex Proctor. He's the goalie at Wisconsin Stevens Point. He was just up there for senior night. Good for him, man. That's awesome.
Shout out to Alex.
Shout out to Alex. Caleb says Sciatica is the best moment of this show's history. I would argue if we want to, I mean, that was incredibly stupid and it's still great sound, but I still think that me breaking that chair at Bridgestone and smashing to the floor, I mean,
I agree. That's my number one by far.
Like that is actually semi-tragic that we don't have video of that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we had video of that?
The chair explodes. We had Jimmy Wyatt on the phone, and it knocked him off the air. And he came back on later. He's like, "Well, it kind of sounded like there's some sort of catastrophe going on out there." There was, Jimmy.
Yes, man. Boy, amazing. Breaking a freaking chair on the air. Good Lord. Coin Clarksville asks, listen to Nickelback or have PK sing Creed? Yeah, I'll go with Nickelback.
Nickelback, another one. People hate for no reason. They're fine.
I don't, Well, wait a minute. Did someone confuse Creed with Nickelback? We just did hear Creed. That wasn't Nickelback, folks.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
But yeah, Nickelback, it's of all the bad bands that are sort of in that genre, they're not the worst. I'll give them that. So today, real quick, I want to talk. We're sticking with the hockey thing because I do want to say, and yesterday we definitely got after the Canadians a little bit for making some excuses and things like that. And I think the biggest one of all of these excuses with the Canadians was definitely Nathan McKinnon, right? I mean, the quote was, "You be the judge of who was the better team today." Now, I have tried to figure out who, like were there a bunch of people who now ESPN took it and went with that just as a standalone quote. And I still haven't seen the video of it. So I know sometimes the Olympic pressers are a little different. It's not, there's not a ton of video with those. So I haven't seen it or heard the audio. But this is Joshua Clipperton from the Canadian Press, national hockey writer. He tweeted out, again, his tweet was a gutted Nathan McKinnon, quote, "You be the judge of who is the better team today." That sounds like absolute classic whining. Again, it's not figure skating, Nate. So sorry, buddy. But here's the thing, and this happens a lot. But it shouldn't happen with someone. I understand you're in the moment, so you're tweeting fast stuff. But that represents an absolute whiner who's like not accepting the reality that you just lost, fair and square. Here is the full quote, and this is from, a text. This is from a story, but it's tweeted out by a guy whose name is Dude Wears Makar.
Well, and I think the story was from Pierre LeBrun.
Okay, it's from LeBrun's story. Here's the full quote. Quote, "It's been close for a while. They're an amazing, skilled group of players. I just felt like it wasn't going to be. You guys can be the judge of who the better team was tonight, but they won. We lost." End quote. Is that a little different? Is that just a little bit different? So everybody's banging all over on Nathan McKinnon, and I'm all for it. Like people who are whiny, who can't accept like again, like we said yesterday, everybody's like, who's the better team? Well, your team includes your goalie, and the best player on the ice was the American goalie. He's an all-time sports legend now for what he did in that game. But you read that quote I just read, that's not sour grapes. I mean, yeah, you did still throw in that you guys can, but again, here's the difference. Joshua Clipperton tweets, quote, "You be the judge of who is the better team today." The quote that Pierre wrote, and I know Pierre, I work with Pierre. I promise you he went through the tape before he wrote this in his story. He said, quote, "You guys can be the judge of who the better team was tonight, but they won, we lost." Can is an interesting word.
Yeah.
Can actually changes the sentence. If you want to be, you can. If you want to be the judge, but they won, we lost. That's not sour grapes. That's actually manning up and accepting it. And yet on ESPN all day yesterday, it's all over the place. Nathan McKinnon, whiny baby. I mean, I'm sorry, but like we got to call balls and strikes. And this was a total fail by media. Now, if there are other, there were some other things that I think were definitely whiny, and even just the 3-on-3 complaints.
Yes.
It's like, come on, man. Like, yeah, we all think the 3-on-3 stinks. It's going to be the case, and you had the best possible advantage with 3-on-3. So I'm not saying there's no Canadian crime, but the number one thing everybody seized on yesterday was actually BS, and that's very disappointing.
Yeah, no, I had up until yesterday, I had not seen the full quote. And then I read Pierre's story and it was in there. I was like, well, this is different. this totally changes the meaning of what, McKinnon had to say there. So that's just a bad job. Like it paints McKinnon in a bad light. And look, I'm all for Team USA talking some trash, or Team USA fans talking some trash. I think it's awesome. Like it adds to the rivalry. But if I'm McKinnon, I'm probably pretty pissed off at the way this is all played out, not only from the game, but from him just taking the bullets he's taken in the aftermath of it when he really didn't say anything all that bad.
Right. So I'm blaming Joshua Clipperton, and Ian, you found it. There may be others who isolated that quote, but again, he missed a key word in the quote. He tweeted it out all by itself, and then he had an Eichel quote, and then he had a sign off from Milan. I mean, I think he's the culprit. And it's just, again, and I don't think he's out there. I'm sure he wasn't trying to make McKinnon look bad, but it's a great example of Twitter though. And if you're you got plenty of characters to give that context. I understand. I've been there. You're in a your fast moment and you want to tweet something out that somebody said. But man, that turned into seriously across the country, the absolute quote of here's what whiners they are. And it was absolutely inaccurate, really.
Yeah. Michael and Madison wanting to know. Yeah, exactly. Michael and Madison wanting to know what the Mount Rushmore of our show is. You got the chair breaking, Skiatika, obviously. PK and the smoking weed constantly clip. What's the fourth best? I mean, I put in there my submission is the time you referred to Pecorine as the untouchable Pekka. That was pretty good. There's a few more. I mean, you could choose from. I mean, the time you said that you married your cousin, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of submissions that you could have here.
Yeah, I mean, it's enough that if you string them together. You could probably if you string them together and played them for Katie, she might just divorce me. She might be like, dude, you actually are so embarrassing. I can't be with you anymore.
We have got to go back through the archives and find the audio of the chair exploding. It was, you can't see it. It's unfortunate it wasn't on video at that time, but the audio of the chair exploding as Jim Wyatt is talking about some right tackle for the Titans is just amazing.
Yeah, you can hear it. You can definitely hear me, 200 and whatever pounds smashing to the floor.
And I kept my cool the whole time until it was over, and then I lost it.
The untouchable Pekka.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Bring that one back in the rotation. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll get back into the Titans and the NFL draft coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We'll have Ben Arthur from Fox Sports NFL with us later this hour at 8:45 to close out the show. We'll get into the Titans, the AFC South, all things NFL with him, so looking forward to that. Now, taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You know, Ian Safar is the best in the business. There's no doubt about it. I mean, his mashups are legendary, and Ian Safar has very quickly, Joe, found the audio of you masquerading the chair on the program. No. Let's go to it. Let's revisit a nice moment in the history of the Robby and Rexrode program of Rexrode exploding a chair at Bridgestone Arena.
I think, yes, you got to have some concern because Sombrero did a good job, and he was kind of next in line, and now they're in a tougher spot from a depth standpoint. So it's put them in quite a bind. And
Joe Rexrode recovering from whatever just happened to Joe Rexrode. I think you may be unplugged as well. So there we go.
There we go. Okay. Hey, Ladarius unplugged me. That was good. So, but did we hear the crash though? So I just broke a chair here. My goodness. And to think we were having a nice conversation about Ty Sombrilo, and his work at offensive tackle.
I couldn't even remember the offensive tackle we were discussing is Ty freaking Sombrilo. Oh my God.
That thing. I mean, you could hear it. That chair pretty much disintegrated, man.
Yeah, it did. It was just crazy.
Buckled under the overwhelming weight.
Well, we determined, I think we later determined that the chair was broken previously, right? Like it was wobbly. And then I don't remember if it was Chase or who it was, but they put it back in like the rotation. And I think just purposely sabotaged you there. But my goodness, you just fell down next to me, and I just kept going. There was an interview to be done with Jim Wyatt. You were on the floor next to me, and there's no time to help you.
Yeah, look, I got a question about Ty Sombrilo. I mean, you get off the floor whenever you can, and you can have the next question.
You lay down on the job as long as you want to down there.
I remember Ryan Porth showing up that day a little later, and he was so mad we didn't have video. I was like, oh my God.
Well, I remember
to see me just disappear from the table, like in an instant, just It's
a shame we don't, because we'd probably both be rich if we had that. I mean, just the amount of money we'd make off that. My goodness.
Just turn it into like a YouTube channel or something. Yeah,
man. I remember Porth showing up because you could hear him laughing from Broadway. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It's like.
Poor hyena laugh.
I think that one's pretty squarely number one on my all-time list. That was awesome.
There were some other submissions. Dennis pointing out the wonderful rap I wrote for Katie on our anniversary. And also Joey from Bellevue. I don't even remember MILF Island exactly. I don't remember the context of MILF Island. I do remember that we talked about MILF Island.
I'll have to look for that one.
Yeah.
That sounds like a winner in my book.
Oh yeah, no, that could be. You could do a lot with that one, probably. Yeah.
Oh man, I really appreciate Michael from Madison for bringing this up, going down the rabbit hole of the Mount Rushmore of things that have happened here. I mean, I had forgotten really about the untouchable Pekka, but I feel like that one probably needs more love in the rotation as well.
Yes. My goodness.
Well, there was that one. There was the win one for the Pekka. I mean, there's been a couple of different ones that you've thrown out there.
Yeah, it's probably good he's not still the goalie. I would have waded into some more waters at one point or another. Yeah.
Josh saying, wasn't Ty about to retire? And for the record, I think he did a decent job filling in for Taylor Lewan when he was hurt. They pulled him from the starting position when Lewan miraculously wanted to come back, only for Ty Sombrilo to retire and Taylor to still be hurt and sue the Titans. I'm trying to remember the timing of when Ty Sombrilo just stopped, but he had a brief run where he was okay for the Titans.
Yeah, he was. And actually, if you want to talk about, since there's a lot of love for Vrabel out there, some accuse us of having love for. There's a guy who did not, I don't think, enjoy playing for Vrabel too much. So, for the record, not everybody loves Mike Vrabel.
Yep, that is true. Man, just a beautiful trip down memory lane there. Really enjoyed that. The NFL Combine is this week. The draft right around the corner for the Titans. We discussed some of this earlier in the show in terms of what people are looking for from the Titans. We welcome more of your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Joe, what are you looking at this week if you're the Tennessee Titans? What are you taking away from one of your favorite events of the year in the NFL Combine? What's important?
Yeah. Well, by the way, yeah, we'll get some stuff today. They're splitting those guys. Is that right? Is that our understanding?
I believe so.
Yeah, which is kind of annoying for them, but it's way better when you just get, GM and coach same time. Like all Philly went today in the morning, then they're done. But anyway, obviously the edge rushers, you're almost for sure. In all likelihood, you're going to get a chance at Bailey and Bain, and you're probably not getting a chance at Reese, but you don't know. You never know how these things will go. You could be surprised. So I think all the homework on them, all the measurables, whatever they do, the interviews are critical. The receivers, same thing. Those are obvious, right? I said this earlier. I'll say it again. I also think that this week for Ty Simpson could be relevant to the Titans. Like Mel Kiper was just up here yelling about how he has him going 21 to the Steelers. And I think a lot of people seem to think if Ty Simpson goes in the first round, that's the most likely spot. Makes sense. Some people don't think he's going in the first round. I just did a beat writer mock draft. He didn't go in the first round, but that's this league. It's hard for me to buy that he's not going in the first round. If he has a great week, he is throwing, good for him. I love that. I think we've gotten to the point where GMs and personnel people and coaches, when a player wants to compete, they're like, okay, I like this. Now, he has incentive because he's trying to prove he's a first rounder. So it makes sense. But if he throws really well, having talked to him, he's going to be great in the rooms with these guys, the coach's son. If the medicals check out on the back, could Ty Simpson, should someone fall in love with him to the point that they want to move up and he's like a high pick? I mean, it would still only give us 2 high quarterbacks and probably 2 first-round quarterbacks in the entire draft. That could be something that also is relevant to the Titans' ultimate outcome here.
What's going to happen with Nussmeier? Because, heading into this year, he was near the top of the list in terms of people thinking about first-round quarterbacks. I understand that he didn't play all that great this year, but I'm looking at pieces right now of people who have the most to prove, most to gain by throwing at the combine. Obviously, Ty Simpson is there, but Nussmeier has got the size, he's got the profile, and I keep coming back to who in the world is going to be the third quarterback drafted here. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Carson Beck? And where are those guys going to be drafted? Is Nussmeier a second-round guy? Is he a third-round guy? What's that look like? Yeah,
great questions. And a guy who was absolutely talked about as the number 1 overall pick early in the year, early in the season, after the win at Clemson. Carson Beck, go back to last year, the beginning of last year, talked about as he's going to be a number 1 overall pick guy, he's a top 5 pick guy, And I think Carson Beck acquitted himself pretty well overall. The way it ended, tough, but and sort of brings back some of the criticisms. But still, he helped himself last year without question.
Yeah.
And I think both of them are talented. Nussmeier, another coach's son, by the way. That's a great question. And that's the thing with both of them. Is it possible, could we possibly see both of them all of a sudden get talked about moving into the first? I wouldn't be shocked at all. I tend to, we finally had that draft where all the questions about quarterbacks actually manifested itself in quarterbacks going later and not in the first round. The Malik Willis draft, the number 1 free agent in the NFL.
Yeah. Now he's going to be the best player in the league.
Yeah. So at least there is proof of concept there. Cause before that, I would have just told you, like, every year there's going to be 3 or 4 quarterbacks taken the first round. I don't care. I don't care where they rate relative to other classes. Like, it's just going to happen. But maybe those guys, it's certainly a good year to come out as a quarterback, right? Because you're just the competition. And even Mendoza, I mean, he's going to go number 1 overall. I've already seen Dan Orlovsky, like, tweet out sort of vague things that makes me think he's not in love with his film. I don't think he's a number 1 overall quarterback talent, but that's where he's going.
He's a number 1 overall quarterback post-game interviewer. I know that. I can't wait to see him be interviewed after he gets drafted.
You are right about that. I need him and, like, Mark Davis to do a podcast together.
It'd be awesome. I mean, him in Vegas, that's got some potential. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts to get to on the NFL draft coming next, plus a former Titan back in the game. We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Something big is coming to warm up Nashville. Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media are about to change one family's winter. Stay tuned for how you could win. We are live on Robby and Rexrode from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on the NFL draft at 615-737-1025. It is Combine Week. I believe Robert Saleh is speaking later today. Mike Borgonzi will be speaking tomorrow. So a couple of Titans addressing the media over the next couple of days here. Joe, we were asked about Jeremiah Love earlier and whether or not the Titans should give consideration to drafting him at number 4. You know, depending on where you look when it comes to like the players and their rankings heading into this. I mean, Jeremiah Love is highly ranked. I mean, he's going to go, I think, lower in the draft, Joe, of where he's actually ranked in terms of the player that he is. So I'm interested to see exactly where that lands. Now, we've talked about Love a little bit here. You know, I have a hard time seeing him getting past 9 at Kansas City. I could be wrong about that, but I'd be surprised if that's the case. I think 8 for New Orleans would make a lot of sense there too. But, I mean, I'm looking at, you know, Dane Brugler and where he's got him in terms of player rankings. He's number 3. Like, he's got Arvell Reese at 1, Mendoza 2, and Jeremiah Love at 3. So we had a similar conversation about Caleb Downs, who he's got at number 4. You know, if you feel like he's the best player available in the draft, and those two are probably a better example than the other ones, given the positions that they play, I'm interested to see where he goes. I mean, 3, 4, and 5 for Brugler. So you're talking about running back at number 3 for Jeremiah Love in terms of Brugler's player rankings. Downs is a safety at number 4. And then Sonny Styles is a linebacker at number 5. Like, all of those guys are good. The positions they play are going to make this interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And we definitely could be looking at just some non-premium positions, which I think sometimes people make too big a deal out of, going higher than you would think, just because of the quality of the player in question. You know, someone texted us earlier what we were talking about. What about Love? Would it be shocking, you know, if the Titans go with a running back there? Somewhat, yes. But if you believe, it's kind of like the same thing as my offensive tackle thing that everybody jumped all over. If you're the Titans and you think he's Saquon Barkley, if you're the Titans and you think he's fill in the gap of like the top backs in this league and what they have meant to teams, like a star who absolutely changes. I mean, we just saw the Tennessee Titans do pretty well thanks to a running back as their star. If you think he's that, okay, well, then you shouldn't pass him up. I mean, if you think he's that and you really like all these edge rushers, you need an edge rusher, but you got to question, you know, David Bailey, is he going to be, you know, is he stout enough, and Bain, the arm length or whatever? You got questions, but you have no question that Jeremiah Love is a star. Well, that's smart drafting. Titans have all kinds of needs. You know, and need has to take a back seat, especially to me when you are not close. You know, we're going to talk about J-Rob. You think about like what need did to the Titans in the second J-Rob draft after a really good first draft, when they're like, well, the best receiver is Corey Davis, so let's go with Corey Davis at number 5 overall. Was it 5?
Yes.
You know, that's the problem. When you focus on need as opposed to who is the best football player we could possibly draft right now. And no, they were never going to draft Patrick Mahomes, everybody, so please don't bring that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brugler says, quote, for some teams, Jeremiah Love will have a higher draft grade than Ashton Genty did last year. And look, I know when you look at Genty and the year he had for the Raiders this year, you know, it did not live up to expectations, right?
No.
Now, if you go back and watch them, their offensive line is terrible.
Bad.
Just awful.
Bad offense.
And, you know, he ended up with 975 yards, 5 touchdowns. He averaged 3.7 a carry. It's not very good. Like, it's not a very good season from Ashton Genty there. I am interested, you know, if they can ever find a way to build a somewhat competent offensive line, what he looks like with the Raiders.
Yeah, when I watched him play, he looked like the same guy. And just a guy who didn't have a chance. You still hope someone like that on their own does a little bit more to push it forward. But that's the thing about whoever the Titans get if they are getting a new running back. I mean, they're coming into – I'm pretty confident in this group as a run-blocking unit, and I think that's got to be a big part of, like, right from the jump next season, the focus. I thought it should have been more last season when Brian Callahan was still the coach, but I also think the offensive line got better, and it's certainly as a run-blocking group. So you bring in if you have a real difference maker at running back, this offense to me is not going to hold that running back.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I just know that if the Titans use a pick at running back on number 4, the discourse there is going to be interesting to see how that goes. Even though he could end up being a great player here. Like, people are talking about like the helping Cam Ward part of this. Like we had a texter earlier, Joe, talking about like if you're gonna spend a pick that high, do it on something that helps Cam Ward. Well, I think helping Cam Ward is very relative, right? Like obviously you're directly helping Cam Ward when you're drafting a wide receiver, right? You're directly helping Cam Ward if they drafted Jeremiah Love and he ends up being some great running back. But like I wouldn't dismiss drafting an edge rusher from the standpoint of it helping Cam Ward. Like if your defense can get off the field more and get you the ball back, guess what? That helps Cam Ward too. So like I know we don't always view it that way, but a good defense, an edge rusher that comes in and picks up a sack on third down and gets your defense off the field and gives the ball back to your quarterback more often, that absolutely helps Cam Ward. So I think we gotta remember that in this discussion too when you're talking about the Cam Ward part of this.
Yeah, not being a Cheeks football team is going to help your quarterback in a variety of ways. But no, defense is a big part of helping, getting the ball back. Just not putting pressure on you. You having the entire playbook open for as much of the game as possible, as opposed to, okay, well, down double figures here in the third quarter, and it's basically they can just pin their ears back and come after me now because that's what we have to do. Yeah. Huge difference. No, it all matters. There's direct and indirect, but I think one of the best friends of a quarterback is a good defense.
So what do you make? We've talked a lot about some of these first round guys that, whether it's Carnell Tate or Mekhi Lemon or whatever it is at wide receiver. What do you think of guys like, I don't know, Omar Cooper out of Indiana, guys that may go first round? I think like Cooper specifically, I think Brugler's got him at 27. So we'll see kind of where he ends up in the pecking order there. But you've got him that's going to be in the mix. We played the clip from Matt Miller earlier in the show about like guys that, wide receivers, maybe 11 out of the top 50 there. There's Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. There's Brazel from Tennessee. Like those guys could be available by the time the Titans get on the board in the second round. So like, what do you make of some of those guys that we probably not talked about as much when it comes to receivers a little bit later, either at the back end of the first round or the early part of the second round?
I like all those guys. That any of them would help. I also don't look at any of them as a number one receiver. So now, again, does that matter? Like if you have 2-3 really good receivers, does someone have to be designated? Does someone have to be a 1,500-yard receiver? It'd be great because when you have someone like that, then you start dictating things to the defense and opening other things up for you. You want a star number one receiver. But a guy like that, you need more depth, you need more talent, more competition. I guess though, if I'm not getting Mekhi Lemon in this draft, and again, maybe I'm being way too restrictive on this, and I'm probably not giving Carnell Tate the credit he deserves, but Mekhi Lemon is a guy I think is going to be a star in the NFL. I don't know that I believe that about any other receiver. And if that's the case, again, is Ridley staying? What are they doing free agency? How good? What is the next step for DK and Io Manor? I guess it's just like with the other needs. I feel like I'd like to see something else, with the next pick. But yeah, they're good. They're all good. No question about it. I think Mendoza and Cooper have both kind of maybe elevated each other a little bit and been elevated, but just by the unbelievable story of Indiana football. But he's a good player.
By the way, we had somebody ask us about Eli Stowers and where we think he's going to go, Brugler has him as the number 2 tight end on his board at the moment. So, the Sadiq kid out of Oregon is obviously number 1. I think he'll probably go in the first round. And I think the number 2 tight end that he's got on his board right now is Stowers, who I think he's got at number 48 overall in the draft.
Yeah. He seems like a pretty strong bet to be gone by middle of the second round.
Yeah, I would agree. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We will get into a former Titan back in the NFL coming up next. Plus, the Titans are teasing a jersey reveal. We'll get into that as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. We'll be joined by Ben Arthur from Fox Sports NFL coming up here in just a few minutes. Joe, John Robinson back in the game. He has been hired in Miami to join John Eric Sullivan's staff down there. His official title, Joe, I will get it pulled up for John Robinson with the Miami Dolphins, is, according to Ian Rappaport, Senior Personnel Executive. So John Robinson back in the game as senior personnel executive with the Miami Dolphins. Your thoughts on J-Rob back in the NFL and the AFC East, which apparently all the former Titans are going to now.
Yeah, well, good for him. Good to see him back in the game. I always thought that he should be back in the game at some point. Got that sweet, sweet Adams money for a few years after he got bizarrely fired in the middle of a season. And now he's back in the game, and he should be, and we'll see if he's ever a GM again. I don't know, senior personnel executive, I don't know where that would fall in the pecking order there under John Eric Sullivan. It's not like he's, player personnel director or whatever. These titles have changed too with a lot in the NFL, but he's in the game, and he should be. He was a good GM here overall. He was a good GM. He was looking like a great GM as we entered this decade, and then it obviously went the wrong way. And certainly, as bizarre as the firing was in season, at the end of that season, I think it would have been a healthy debate about should he be fired or not. Still would have been like, gosh, Amy Adams Strunk just gave Vrabel and J-Rob those huge deals. Surely that's you're going to have a little more patience than that, right? But there would have been people arguing for it, and again, they would have had a case. It would have been a good debate. Sure. Instead, the debate was just was randomly ended a couple days after an embarrassing day at Philadelphia, which I'm sure had nothing to do with it. So he's back in the game. He should be. He's a good GM here. And, yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if Miami does really well and they come out of this bad spot they're in, then the people who are working with John Eric Sullivan get rewarded, typically.
So, Joe, the Titans are teasing, I guess, a new jersey announcement coming up. We've talked about like the stuff that Easton Freeze put out there last week and the rebranding that's going on. Well, there's now billboards up around town. And earlier this morning, they tweeted, quote, "A new chapter begins 3/12/26." And there's the light blue Titans, and then there's like a darker blue TriStar kind of thing tossed into the stitching of the fabric there. So I guess, Joe, that the jersey, the new branding stuff is coming out on March the 12th. I'm interested to get PK's thoughts on this. I know he's talked about that rivalry jersey that they're doing this year that is completely separate of all this. So I'm interested to see what this is. But what do you make of the new chapter beginning for the Titans on March the 12th, apparently?
Yeah, they're throwing these little Easter eggs out here. So very exciting. I just would like to, let's see now March 12th, that's Thursday, right? Thursday, March 12th.
Let's see here.
I think it is. It is. It's Thursday, March 12th. I'd just like to point out that, on that day, let's see, we might be looking at, Vanderbilt. We might be looking at Vanderbilt and Tennessee both playing. We might be looking at games like, Vandy, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Texas A&M. We got 4 games at Bridgestone, okay, in the SEC tournament here. And I'm not saying the Titans need to worry about college basketball, but it's kind of annoying to think that they're going to do that on that day. Like, can't they do it on Tuesday, March 10th, when absolutely nothing in the sports world is going on at all?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is really cutting at you is what this is doing. The basketball game's going on the same day. And, if they're doing this reveal with the basketball games going on, like, you can't have a concert on Broadway then, can you? I don't know. Like, are they going to do a Florida Georgia Line 2.0? They bringing somebody else out there?
That's a good point. They certainly know. Yeah, they certainly, like, when they did that, there was nothing going on. So they certainly know that the SEC tournament is happening, so they probably can't do that. So what is going to be the thing? Like, what are they going to do? Is there going to be some kind of a live appearance somewhere, or is this just going to be like you're just going to throw it on the internet and let people go nuts about it?
Robert Saleh and Liam Cohen charity boxing match.
Oh, man.
Right there on Broadway. That could be awesome.
It wouldn't last long, but I mean, it'd be a fun idea. It'd be like 2 hits. 2 hits.
Liam Cohen's gone down in 8 seconds. It's unbelievable.
I mean, seriously, he'd be like one of those tomato cans that Tyson used to fight. Like Peter, what the heck was that dude's name? Like Peter, they did like a Pizza Hut commercial with the guy. Like, oh my God, someone help me on the text.
You're
line.
way older than me. I don't know.
I know. It was like Peter. I think he had like an Irish last name, and like Tyson like destroyed him in a matter of seconds. And then somehow he got a Pizza Hut commercial. I know someone out there is going to help me out with this. This is very important. Okay.
I look forward to it on the text line.
Yeah,
Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
This is when things like this come up, and it's like on
talking Peter McNeely.
Yes, Dennis did
go.
it. You and Dennis. Oh, there we go. Peter McNeely. Yes, one of Tyson's tomato cans, and I swear he got like some kind of Pizza Hut commercial off getting obliterated by Tyson. I mean, I'm not kidding you. So that would be from Peter McNeely to Liam Cohen. Yeah, it'd be like 2 hits, him getting hit in the face and then him hitting the ground. But I like the idea. I like the idea of the Titans trying to do something in person. What would it be?
I don't
It lasted 1 minute and 29 seconds, that fight, apparently.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yep.
It's longer than the Liam Cohen Robert Saleh fight would last.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, unless Liam just ran, like just running around. Trying to do like the Three Stooges, whoop, 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 but just like running around trying to be avoided. That's the only way. Did you see him get asked about that?
I did. Yeah, I did.
On what was it on McAfee?
I think so. Yeah, he's excited to have Saleh in the division.
Yeah, he definitely didn't look like he wanted to talk any more trash.
No,
he was kind of like, please stop asking me, please. Okay, I'm just gonna smile and let's move on, please.
I don't know when they play, or like obviously in May we'll find out the schedule. I need Titans Jags to be pretty early, man. Like I want it to be. I'm not saying you got to open the season with it, but let's do Titans Jags pretty early here, and let's get this Saleh Cohen rivalry cooking a little bit early in the year.
Well, yeah, the little. I'm trying to think. Is it the owners' meetings? Is that where PK likes to serve up eggs to reporters that he kisses their butts? Is that what?
Yeah,
that
they take pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be – they need to be – Saleh should just have him, like, in a headlock, like totally just, like, play up the big brother, little brother thing. Because, seriously, like, Liam Cohen's, like, half his size.
I mean, I think Cohen's a little bit bigger than you think, but, yeah, he's not – I mean, he's certainly not as big as Robert Saleh.
Is he?
Yeah.
Cohen looks to me like he's about 5'9". Am I wrong about that?
I think you are.
Okay, well, still.
He's 6'1".
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's my fault. It still wouldn't go well.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. By the way, DJ on YouTube says the real new chapter should be winning more than 3 games if you're the Titans. Well, hopefully that comes with it. This should not be a high bar to clear.
Yeah, that would be. That should be. Maybe don't talk about any, the new chapter stuff until you do something. But hey, man, we got new uniforms to talk about. I mean, what's more exciting in the world of sports?
That's true. We'll be joined by Ben Arthur from Fox Sports NFL coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans, his thoughts on the AFC South, all that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, and Safar here with you. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Ben Arthur to the program from Fox Sports NFL. Ben, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing, guys? It's been a while.
Good, man.
Been a while, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Ben, obviously, NFL Combine this week, draft right around the corner, and the Titans have a new regime coming in, at least on the coaching front, with Robert Saleh and his staff. So when you look at the roster for the Titans, which, as you know, has a lot of holes and needs a lot of things, how do you view this draft, particularly number 4 overall, where they're sitting in terms of maybe the way that you'd like to see them go?
Yeah, I think having Robert Saleh come in, defensive-minded head coach, I would think that the Titans going for a foundational piece on the defensive side of the ball would make a lot of sense, right? Like an edge rusher who you could depend on to get pressure on the quarterback, right? Jeffrey Simmons was really your only threat to get after guys and doing so from an interior alignment. So having someone that you could pair with him on passing downs to really get after quarterbacks, to get after offenses, I think will make a lot of sense. I know from a pure sack number standpoint, the Titans actually ranked considerably well when you look at maybe all the help that they need, but you really need an edge guy that you could depend on. Going to the 4-3 defense as well. I think with what Robert Saleh likes to do, not a whole lot of blitzing. You want to be able to wreck games with your front four and having someone to go with Jeff, to go with Tavondre Sweat, and you have Femi Oladejo in the picture, right? I think you had some guys like Jalen Harrell. I was spacing on his name for a second. Jalen Harrell come on later in the year, but I think you do need another guy who you can depend on to pair with Jeff. And so I think when you look at number 4, I think it really makes sense to get a pass rusher.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, receiver is another clear need. I'm a big Mekhi Lemon fan. Maybe I'm just a little too down on Carnell Tate as the number 4 overall pick, but maybe it makes more sense. The edge rushers are a little bit better overall. But what about receiver with the Titans? Ben, you have the 2 young guys, 4th-round picks last year. DK in particular showed some serious burst and upside. Yeah. There is the Calvin Ridley. They could bring him back. I think there's been a lot of assumption that maybe they wouldn't. Where do you fall on that, on Ridley, and what they should do or need to do at that position to help Cam Ward?
Yeah, Ridley is a big wild card, right? But I do think it's notable that Daboll has a connection with him, right, through Alabama. So I don't, when you think of him really designing this offense for Cam Ward and him already having familiarity with Calvin Ridley, maybe that bodes in the favor of him returning. It's hard to say at this point. But yeah, even if he is back, you do need another guy who could be a potential number 1, right? Like you obviously want Ellick, Iamaner and Chim DK, those guys to take steps forward, but you absolutely need another guy for Cam, right? And I think it is notable just with Brian Daboll's offenses in the past, and I'm thinking particularly like just with Buffalo, when Josh Allen was playing some of his best ball, like when he did have a guy in the slot, right, who you could really depend on, like a high volume target, someone who's maybe not afraid to get hit over the middle. And maybe that's where a guy like Mekhi Lemon, your guy from USC, maybe that makes sense in that regard. But there are a number of different directions that they could take. But yeah, regardless of if Calvin Ridley is back or not, you absolutely need a guy who you can see as a future number 1 for Cam.
Ben, what intrigues you the most about the Cam Ward, Brian Daboll pairing as the Titans are about to embark on that?
I think it's obvious just what he's done for Josh Allen, right? And can he, obviously that jump with Josh happened his third year, right? But how much growth can Cam show in year two under Daboll, a guy who's, worked extensively with a number of quarterbacks? I think seeing exactly how their relationship will grow from like a football standpoint, like we've heard about the relationship they started to build during the pre-draft process last year, and so you obviously want to see that to continue now that Daboll is with the Titans. But so yeah, I mean, just him getting Cam to see maybe the game in different ways, teach him some things here and there. Footwork, mechanics, all those things need improvement as well. But I think one interesting thing too, like how much more Cam could potentially be using his legs in 2026. I mean, I think we've seen it with quarterbacks Daboll has had, whether it's Josh Allen or even Daniel Jones or Jackson Dart last year. I mean, all of those guys are more mobile than Cam, right? But I think we did see, I think particularly after the bye, maybe towards the second half of the year, that he could, make some things happen as a scrambler, whether it was scramble to throw or just kind of take off, if kind of the coverage dictated that opening for him. And so I do think Cam could be using his legs more in 2026. And so I think that's something to watch for as well.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks who can use their legs well, Ben, and Titans related, Malik Willis. I know someone today just ranked him, I guess, the number one free agent. Obviously, he's one of the most coveted free agents, which is wild for those of us who watched him on the practice field here, and it was like, man, it's tough. I mean, my question was kind of like, okay, can this guy entrench himself as a backup in the league? And now he goes to Green Bay. He does some really impressive things. I'm still a little bit like, man, is that what he is? Is he going to be a really good starter? I still have a little skepticism left, but I know there's been some talk about the Colts. We don't know what's going on with Daniel Jones. Miami is an obvious possibility. The Jets are, unfortunately, an obvious possibility for just about any quarterback. But how do you see that playing out? And do you think are you bought in on Malik Willis as a starter in this league?
I don't know about that. Like he looked terrific, right? Whenever he's had the chance to play with, whenever he's had the chance to play with Green Bay, I think being under Matt LaFleur did wonders for him. Taking a back seat, learning from Jordan Love as well, a really offensive-minded, a quarterback-minded staff really did him well. And I think the big thing in Tennessee was he always needed time, right? Like he always needed time. Like I remember some of the chatter of him coming out of Liberty, right? Like he's going to need a lot of time. And with the Titans situation, he was kind of forced into playing much earlier than he really should have been. And you've kind of seen that development over time. But I'm not completely sold just because we haven't seen him enough, right? I don't have the exact number of starts he's had in front of him, but it could have been more than 3 or 4, right? With Green Bay. And so he's probably going to get a lot more money than he should, but I think it would make sense for him to get like a Justin Fields type of deal, right? Like I think it was last year around like 2 years, 40 million and like 30 guaranteed or something like that, right? Like money that shows that, yeah, you could probably be our starting quarterback for this season, but like you need to show us more. I think that makes the most sense. Obviously him and his camp, his agent, like they're going to push for more, and considering all the teams that have openings for a starting quarterback, and you could throw Miami and Arizona in there too, because Murray and Tua are probably gone from those respective teams, right? All that is going to inflate the value for Malik, which is good in terms of his pockets. But I think from a rational standpoint, it probably makes sense for him to maybe have more of a Justin Fields deal as opposed to even like what a Sam Darnold got last year, which was what, like, or a Baker Mayfield type of deal, maybe a 30 million per year type thing. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. I think you'd have to go more conservative.
Ben, thanks so much for being with us this morning, man. Really appreciate your time as always.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Yep, Ben Arthur, our guest here on the program. That's going to do it for us today. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.